Did you know that some of rock's greatest icons were as notorious for their wild drinking habits as they were for their music? From Ozzy Osbourne's outrageous antics to Keith Richards' seemingly indestructible lifestyle, here are 35 rock stars who were known for being constantly intoxicated. Ozzy Osbourne. Dubbed the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne's early career was dominated by his excessive alcohol and substance use. As the lead singer of Black Sabbath, he became infamous for bizarre acts like biting the head off a bat during a live performance and drinking to the point of blacking out. His drinking began in his teenage years and only intensified with the pressures of fame. Alcohol became a constant escape for Osbourne, fueling his chaotic stage presence and tumultuous personal life. One of the most notorious incidents in his career occurred when he was arrested for urinating on the Alamo Cenotaph in Texas, a shocking moment that epitomized his extreme lifestyle. Despite these wild excesses, Osbourne eventually turned his life around, seeking treatment in rehab and leaning on the support of his wife Sharon and his family to rebuild his career and personal well-being. Keith Richards. A true legend of rock and roll, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones has become an enduring symbol of the excesses of the rock lifestyle. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Richards was renowned for his heavy drinking and drug use. He has openly admitted that there were long stretches of his career where he was perpetually intoxicated. One of the most infamous stories about Richards involves his revelation that he once snorted his father's ashes mixed with cocaine. Despite multiple arrests, legal troubles, and an extreme lifestyle that defied all odds, Richards has remarkably endured and continues to perform well into his 70s. Though he has claimed to have slowed down in more recent years, Richards remains a living embodiment of rock and roll's excess and resilience. John Bonham. Led Zeppelin's drummer, John Bonham, embodied the spirit of rock stardom both on and off stage. Known for his thunderous drumming, Bonham's talent was as legendary as his heavy drinking. Affectionately called Bonzo by friends, he had a particular taste for vodka, often consuming it in dangerously large amounts. Bonham struggled with pre-show anxiety, which drove him to drink heavily before performances, a habit that eventually spiraled out of control. His drinking reached a tragic climax in 1980 when, after consuming around 40 shots of vodka in one night, Bonham was found dead at guitarist Jimmy Page's home. He had choked on his own vomit while unconscious, marking a heartbreaking end to one of rock's greatest drummers. Nikki Sixx. Mötley Crüe's bassist Nikki Sixx epitomized rock star excess during the 1980s with his wild behavior and extreme alcohol consumption. His drinking often accompanied his dangerous heroin addiction, detailed in his autobiography, The Heroin Diaries. Sixx's descent into substance abuse led to numerous near-death experiences, including overdoses that nearly claimed his life. The chaos surrounding his addiction became a defining aspect of his rock star image. However, against the odds, Sixx eventually turned his life around, becoming a vocal advocate for sobriety and addiction recovery. His transformation from near-fatal addiction to sobriety stands as a powerful testament to survival in a world where many others have succumbed. Slash, as the iconic lead guitarist of Guns N' Roses, Slash became a defining figure of rock culture, instantly recognizable by his top hat, wild curls, and signature guitar riffs. Alongside his musical success, Slash was also infamous for his hard-partying lifestyle, often seen with a bottle of Jack Daniels in hand during the late 1980s and early 1990s. His alcohol addiction led to chaotic performances where he was sometimes so drunk that he forgot his own songs. Coupled with heroin use, his drinking caused severe health issues, including near-fatal heart failure. Fortunately, Slash eventually sought help, overcoming his addictions and maintaining his sobriety for several years. His recovery marked a turning point, allowing him to continue his career with renewed focus and health. Duff McKagan. Guns N' Roses. Bassist Duff McKagan battled an intense alcohol addiction that saw him consuming up to a gallon of vodka a day at the height of his dependence. His excessive drinking reached a critical point in 1994 when his pancreas burst, resulting in a life-threatening medical emergency. Doctors warned McKagan that he would not survive if he continued drinking. This harrowing experience prompted him to embark on a journey of sobriety. In his autobiography, McKagan detailed his recovery, attributing his success to his commitment to martial arts and physical fitness, which helped him maintain a sober lifestyle and rebuild his health. Rod Stewart. One of rock and pop's biggest stars, Rod Stewart was notorious for his wild partying in the 1970s. His band Faces became infamous for their hard-drinking behavior, and Stewart himself indulged heavily in alcohol. However, what set Stewart's excess apart was his unusual approach to cocaine use. In an effort to protect his vocal cords, Stewart reportedly began taking cocaine rectally using anti-cold capsules filled with the substance. Although bizarre, this method allowed him to preserve his signature raspy voice while continuing his substance use. Eventually, Stewart moved on from his party-heavy lifestyle and has since enjoyed a long and prosperous career. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. Aerosmith's frontman Steven Tyler and guitarist Joe Perry earned the nickname Toxic Twins due to their extreme alcohol and substance abuse during the band's early years. Their addictions became so severe that it nearly destroyed the band by the late 1970s. Tyler later revealed that he had spent millions of dollars on substances, driven by the pressures of fame and relentless touring. Their reckless behavior, fueled by alcohol, often disrupted their performances and relationships within the band. This chaotic lifestyle ultimately led to Aerosmith's breakup in the early 1980s. However, Tyler and Perry later found sobriety and reunited, embarking on a highly successful second chapter of their careers, rejuvenated and focused. Billy Idol. Rising to fame in the 1980s, Billy Idol embodied the rebellious image of rock with his punk attitude, heavy drinking, and wild antics. Known for trashing hotel rooms and living life on the edge, Idol's most infamous escapade occurred during a 3-week binge at a luxury hotel in Bangkok, Thailand. The binge caused $250,000 in damages and ended with Idol being forcibly removed by the military. Despite the chaos, his reputation as a rock wild man only grew stronger. Over time, however, Idol cleaned up his lifestyle and continued to perform successfully, maintaining his iconic presence well into the 21st century. Vince Neil. Vince Neil, the lead singer of Mötley Crüe, was deeply entrenched in the band's notorious culture of excess. One of the most tragic moments of Neil's life took place in 1984 when he was involved in a drunk driving accident that killed his friend Razzle, the drummer of Hanoi Rocks. With a blood alcohol level far above the legal limit, Neil was charged with vehicular manslaughter and served jail time, though his sentence was brief. The accident left a permanent scar on Neil's life and career, though he continued to struggle with alcohol for many years afterward. Despite his setbacks, he remained a prominent figure in rock, performing with Mötley Crüe and as a solo artist. Lemmy Kilmister. As the frontman and bassist of Motorhead, Lemmy Kilmister became a legendary figure in rock and metal, known for his powerful presence and hard-living lifestyle. His drink of choice was Jack Daniels, and he reportedly consumed a bottle a day, often accompanied by chain smoking. Lemmy's drinking habits became part of his larger-than-life persona, yet he continued to perform at a remarkably high level for decades. His relentless lifestyle, however, began to take its toll on his health in his later years. Despite his declining condition, Lemmy remained active in music until his passing in 2015, leaving behind an enduring legacy as one of rock's most iconic figures. Jim Morrison. The enigmatic lead singer of The Doors, Jim Morrison, became infamous for his erratic behavior, fueled by alcohol and substance use. His heavy drinking often resulted in chaotic performances, with Morrison sometimes delivering incoherent rants or failing to sing at all. Despite his immense talent and poetic lyrics, his addiction led to frequent arrests for public drunkenness and indecent behavior. Morrison's struggles culminated in his untimely death in 1971 at the age of 27. Although officially listed as heart failure, many believe his death was exacerbated by years of heavy drinking and substance abuse. Morrison's legacy endures as both a rock icon and a cautionary tale of excess. Janis Joplin. Like Morrison, Janis Joplin was a tragic member of the infamous 27 Club, known for her groundbreaking music and raw vocal power. Her signature drink was Southern Comfort, which became a staple of her public persona. Rarely seen without a bottle in hand, Joplin's heavy drinking was a constant part of her lifestyle. This destructive habit, combined with substance use, contributed to her premature death in 1970. Despite her brief time in the spotlight, Joplin left behind an enduring legacy. Her music celebrated for its emotional intensity and authenticity. Ronnie Wood. Longtime guitarist for the Rolling Stones, Ronnie Wood has been candid about his decades-long struggle with alcohol addiction. In the 1970s and 1980s, Wood's drinking escalated to the point where it began affecting his performances and strained his relationships within the band. His addiction led to numerous stints in rehab and created both personal and professional challenges. However, Wood achieved sobriety in the late 2000s and has since reflected on his wild, alcohol-fueled past with both humor and introspection. His story of recovery is a testament to perseverance and redemption, even after years of excess. Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton's long and difficult battle with alcohol is well documented, with his addiction peaking by the late 1970s. Clapton admitted that he was often drunk during some of his most iconic performances, including the legendary Rainbow Concert in 1973. His dependence on alcohol severely impacted both his music and personal life, culminating in serious health scares in the 1980s. A near-death experience prompted Clapton to seek treatment for his alcoholism. Since achieving sobriety, Clapton has reflected in his autobiography on how his excessive drinking nearly destroyed his career in life. He credits his recovery with giving him a second chance at both, allowing him to continue creating music and rebuilding his personal relationships. Iggy Pop, known as the godfather of punk. Iggy Pop built a reputation for wild, self-destructive behavior, much of it fueled by heavy drinking and substance use. In the 1970s, Iggy's alcohol and drug habits made his performances notoriously chaotic, often featuring dangerous stunts such as self-harm. His onstage antics became the stuff of legend, but also symbolized his battle with addiction. Eventually, Iggy managed to overcome his alcoholism and regain control of his life. Although he continued to push artistic boundaries, he did so without the destructive addictions that had previously defined his early career, allowing him to sustain his legacy in music and performance art. Noel Gallagher. As Oasis's primary songwriter and guitarist, Noel Gallagher lived a rock star lifestyle throughout the 1990s. Like his brother Liam, Noel frequently drank heavily before and after concerts, leading to unpredictable behavior and explosive fights between the siblings. Their volatile relationship, often worsened by alcohol, became infamous and ultimately contributed to Oasis's breakup in 2009. In later years, Noel has reflected on this period of his life with both regret and humor. Since then, he has significantly reduced his alcohol intake, focusing on his solo career and family life while maintaining his influence as one of the most celebrated figures in British rock. Jimi Hendrix. A member of the infamous 27 Club, Jimi Hendrix's battle with alcohol was a recurring issue throughout his brief yet iconic career. While celebrated for his revolutionary guitar skills, Hendrix often exhibited erratic behavior fueled by heavy drinking, leading to conflicts with both bandmates and fans. His alcohol-induced outbursts frequently made headlines and likely contributed to the events leading up to his early death in 1970. Official reports cite asphyxiation due to barbiturate intoxication as the cause of his death, though many believe his heavy drinking played a significant role in the tragedy. Hendrix's legacy remains one of the most enduring in rock history. Bon Scott. AC/DC's original frontman Bon Scott became a legend not only for his powerful vocals but also for his hard-partying lifestyle. Known for his love of alcohol, Scott often performed and gave interviews with a bottle in hand, embodying the wild persona of a rock star. His excessive drinking ultimately led to his tragic death in 1980. After a night of heavy alcohol consumption, Scott was found lifeless in a car, with his death attributed to acute alcohol poisoning. The news of his passing shocked the rock world, leaving a lasting impact on AC/DC and cementing Scott's status as one of hard rock's most iconic figures. John Lennon. Although John Lennon is revered for his peace activism and musical genius, his struggles with alcohol were a significant, if lesser-known, part of his life. During his Lost Weekend in the early 1970s, a period of separation from Yoko Ono that lasted about 18 months, Lennon drank heavily while living in Los Angeles. He often partied with notorious figures like Harry Nilsson and Keith Moon, engaging in alcohol-fueled antics that included public outbursts, fights, and unpredictable behavior. Eventually, Lennon reconciled with Ono and began moderating his drinking, but this turbulent period remains a reminder of the darker, more volatile side of his personality. Bob Stinson. As the original guitarist for The Replacements, Bob Stinson played a crucial role in shaping the band's raw, rebellious early sound. However, as the band gained success, Stinson's heavy drinking spiraled out of control. His escalating alcohol abuse, coupled with growing creative tensions with frontman Paul Westerberg, led to frequent clashes. By 1986, Stinson's behavior had become too disruptive for the band's ambitions, resulting in his dismissal. Despite several attempts at rehab, Stinson's addiction persisted. Tragically, in 1995, he died at the age of 35 from organ failure caused by years of substance abuse, leaving behind a legacy as both a gifted guitarist and a cautionary tale of rock excess. Brian Jones. A founding member of the Rolling Stones, Brian Jones was a key figure in the band's early success, known for his multi-instrumental talents and innovative sound. However, Jones's experimentation with substances and alcohol worsened as the band's fame grew, leading to deteriorating relationships with his bandmates. His erratic behavior and dependency issues ultimately resulted in his dismissal from the band in 1969. Just a few weeks later, Jones was found dead in his swimming pool under mysterious circumstances. While the official cause was drowning, alcohol and drugs are widely believed to have contributed to his tragic death, cementing his legacy as a troubled yet influential figure in rock history. Sid Vicious. As the bassist for the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious became a symbol of punk rock's chaotic, nihilistic ethos. His life was characterized by heavy drinking, heroin addiction, and a self-destructive attitude that often led to chaotic onstage performances and violent offstage behavior. His relationship with Nancy Spungen was infamously turbulent, marred by substance abuse and domestic violence. In 1978, Vicious was arrested for Spungen's murder, though he died of a heroin overdose before the case could be fully investigated. His short and tragic life became one of the most infamous examples of rock and roll excess, embodying the destructive side of the punk movement. Eddie Van Halen. The legendary guitarist of Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, battled alcohol addiction for much of his career. His drinking began during the band's early years and intensified as Van Halen skyrocketed to fame in the 1980s. The pressures of success and a hard-living lifestyle worsened his dependency, leading to internal conflicts within the band and a steady decline in his health. By the early 2000s, Van Halen was in poor physical condition, but after entering rehab in 2007, he achieved sobriety. Though the damage from years of alcohol abuse lingered, Van Halen's immense influence on rock music endured until his passing, solidifying his place as one of the greatest guitarists in history. Elvis Presley. While Elvis Presley's struggles with substance use are widely documented, his relationship with alcohol, though less prominent, also played a role in his decline. During the 1970s, Presley occasionally turned to alcohol alongside his heavy reliance on prescription medications, which he used to cope with chronic pain and the pressures of fame. His deteriorating health, worsened by obesity, substance use, and drinking, led to erratic behavior, faltering performances, and growing isolation. By the mid-1970s, these issues had taken a severe toll on Presley, contributing to his untimely death in 1977. Despite his personal struggles, Elvis remains one of the most iconic figures in music history. Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis earned a reputation for his chaotic and rebellious lifestyle, fueled by heavy drinking and an explosive temper. His drinking often led to notorious incidents, including a dramatic episode where he crashed his car into the gates of Graceland while intoxicated and armed. His public spectacles were matched by turmoil in his personal life, with scandal and violence frequently characterizing his relationships. Some of his marriages ended in tragedy, with the mysterious deaths of several of his wives adding to his infamy. Despite his self-destructive tendencies, Lewis maintained a relentless drive to perform, his raw energy and talent continuing to define his career even in his later years. Joe Walsh. The Eagles' legendary guitarist Joe Walsh battled alcohol addiction throughout much of his career. Initially, Walsh turned to alcohol to manage stage fright and the immense pressures of fame, but his dependence deepened over time, severely impacting his personal life and relationships. His drinking eventually led to a critical intervention by his former Eagles bandmates, Glenn Frey and Don Henley, who issued an ultimatum. If Walsh wanted to rejoin the band, he had to get sober. This pivotal moment prompted Walsh to seek treatment, and by 1994 he achieved sobriety. Since then, Walsh has become a vocal advocate for recovery, using his experience to inspire others on their journeys toward overcoming addiction. Liam Gallagher. As the charismatic frontman of Oasis, Liam Gallagher became infamous for his alcohol-fueled behavior during the band's meteoric rise in the 1990s. Gallagher's drinking led to countless public incidents, including frequent physical and verbal altercations, many involving his brother and bandmate, Noel Gallagher. The brothers' volatile relationship, worsened by alcohol, became a defining feature of the band's story and ultimately contributed to Oasis's breakup in 2009. Despite his excesses, Liam remains a beloved icon in British rock and has found continued success with his post-Oasis solo career, where he continues to captivate audiences with his unmistakable voice and swagger. Jim Morrison. The enigmatic lead singer of The Doors, Jim Morrison, epitomized the rebellious rock and roll lifestyle. His heavy drinking, which began as part of the counterculture movement of the 1960s, soon became a means to cope with stage fright and inner demons. Morrison's unpredictable behavior, driven by alcohol, often made his performances a gamble, sometimes transcendent and other times chaotic, filled with impromptu poetry or incoherent rants. His notoriety grew after his infamous 1969 arrest in Miami for allegedly exposing himself on stage, cementing his reputation as a rock provocateur. Morrison's life was tragically cut short at the age of 27, when he was found dead in a Paris bathtub. Though the official cause of death remains unclear, alcohol is believed to have played a significant role in his early demise. His legacy endures as one of rock's most enduring and enigmatic icons. David Lee Roth. As the flamboyant and acrobatic frontman of Van Halen, David Lee Roth embodied the hedonistic rock star lifestyle of the 1980s. Known for his high-energy performances and extravagant persona, Roth also gained notoriety for his offstage excesses, including heavy drinking and wild partying. His alcohol-fueled antics often became legendary tales of rock and roll debauchery. Despite these excesses, Roth's showmanship helped propel Van Halen to massive success, cementing the band's place in rock history. However, tensions within the band, exacerbated by Roth's behavior, eventually led to his departure. He later reunited with Van Halen, continuing to perform and showcase his signature charisma. Johnny Thunders. A pivotal figure in the early punk rock movement, Johnny Thunders, guitarist for the New York Dolls, became both a musical icon and a symbol of self-destruction. His raw talent and innovative style were often overshadowed by his reckless lifestyle, fueled by heavy drinking and heroin addiction. Thunders' addiction led to chaotic performances and numerous personal and legal troubles. His life was tragically cut short in 1991 under mysterious circumstances involving a substance overdose, leaving the punk world mourning the loss of one of its most influential yet troubled artists. Despite his untimely death, Thunders' contributions to punk rock continue to inspire musicians today. Ronnie VanZant. As the lead vocalist and principal lyricist for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Ronnie VanZant became a defining figure in Southern rock. His commanding stage presence and powerful voice earned him a dedicated fan base. However, VanZant was also known for his love of drinking, which often reflected the band's hard-partying Southern lifestyle. His heavy alcohol consumption sometimes caused tensions within the band due to his unpredictable and volatile behavior. Tragically, VanZant's life was cut short in 1977 when a plane carrying him and other members of Lynyrd Skynyrd crashed. The loss occurred at the height of the band's fame, leaving an indelible mark on the history of Southern rock. Ace Frehley. The original lead guitarist for Kiss, Ace Frehley, became legendary for his spaceman persona and his larger-than-life antics. Frehley's heavy drinking was a hallmark of his rock star image, often leading to wild and unpredictable behavior both on and off stage. Over time, his excessive alcohol consumption took a severe toll on his health and career, ultimately contributing to his departure from Kiss in the early 1980s. After years of struggling with addiction, Frehley sought treatment and achieved sobriety. Despite his well-documented battles, Frehley remains a beloved figure in rock, with an undeniable influence on the genre through his signature guitar style and stage presence. Phil Lynott. As the charismatic bassist and frontman of Thin Lizzy, Phil Lynott was one of the most magnetic figures in 1970s rock. Known for his powerful stage presence and rebellious persona, Lynott's heavy drinking and substance use became integral to his rock star mythos. His songwriting captured the essence of rock and roll's defiant spirit, but his hard-living lifestyle began to take a toll by the mid-1880s. His heroin addiction worsened, ultimately leading to a tragic collapse on Christmas Day, 1985. Lynott was hospitalized and succumbed to complications from substance abuse, including pneumonia and heart failure, on January 4, 1986, at the age of 36. Despite his struggles, Lynott's legacy endures through his groundbreaking music and as a trailblazer who broke racial barriers in rock. Captain Beefheart. Known for his experimental and avant-garde music, Captain Beefheart, a close collaborator and friend of Frank Zappa, carved out a unique place in rock history. Though not as notorious for alcohol abuse as many of his peers, Beefheart's drinking still influenced his eccentric and erratic behavior, particularly in the studio. His controlling and often bizarre methods of managing his band were exacerbated by his drinking, leading to significant tension during the recording of his landmark album Trout Mask Replica. Despite these challenges, Beefheart's innovative music earned him a devoted cult following. His unconventional lifestyle, combined with his artistic vision, cemented his status as one of the most enigmatic figures in rock. These 35 rock legends lived fast and embraced the excesses of the rock and roll lifestyle. Some found redemption through sobriety, while others tragically succumbed to their addictions. Their stories serve both as cautionary tales and as reminders of the incredible music and enduring legacies they left behind.